back to Lex Reads. So in today's video, in honor of Oscar night, tonight, Sunday is Oscar night, I wanted to see how many books I had that were Oscar nominated films that won, that should have won. A lot of books that were turned into movies that were nominated for Academy Awards and won. So I want to share some in my collection. So let's just get started. Okay, so for this year's Oscars, now be honest with y'all, I'm probably not going to watch the Oscars. What I do is I just follow it to see who I wanted to win, or you know, who I thought shouldn't have won and all that. Now I did see some films, saw 5 films this year that were nominated. So the movies that I did see, first I saw Maestro, which that's with Bradley Cooper. I saw Rustin, that's with Colman Domingo. I saw American Fiction, that's with Jeffrey Wright. I saw May December, that's with Natalie Portman and what's my girl's name? Julianne Moore. And then lastly, The Color Purple, and you know that. And lastly, The Color Purple, that has Danielle Brooks. For Best Supporting Actress, who I am going with is Danielle Brooks from The Color Purple, or I'm going with Devon J. Randolph, The Handovers. Now I haven't seen that movie, which that's the one that I want to see. Either one will do for me. I'm like Issa, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. So of course I'll be biased because I have seen Danielle in The Color Purple, so I'm going to go with her. But if she doesn't win and if Devon wins, I'm all for it. Best Supporting Actor, who I want to win, is from American Fiction, which is based on Erasure by Percival Everett. He played the brother of the main character, so I would like him to win. For Best Actor, you have Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Carmen Domingo for Rustin, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. Now I've seen all of these. I would say it's a tie between Jeffrey Wright and Colman Domingo. Out of the 2 films of Rustin and American Fiction, I would have to go with American Fiction. I preferred it, even though Rustin was fantastic, and Colman, he played Byron Rustin. But I'm gonna have to go with Jeffrey Wright. I am a huge fan of Jeffrey Wright. I have seen a lot of his movies. I love them in Basquiat. I'm gonna go with Jeffrey for that. But if Jeffrey or Colman wins, win-win. I do like Bradley Cooper a lot, but my thing is Bradley already got a Oscar, so you don't need one. And then also he's getting nominated again for Best Screenplay because he wrote, directed, and starred in Maestro. Okay, and then for Best Actress, only person I'm going for is Carrie Mulligan for Maestro. She played Bernstein's wife and did a fantastic job. I also am a fan of her. She was in Gatsby. She played Daisy. So those are the categories that I really care about. I'm going to follow because you guys know there's so many categories in, you know, the Academy Awards, but those are the ones that I kept up with. Let's go to some previous years of movies that were nominated and won. Okay, so for the first one, it is Doubt, and this was based on a play by John Patrick Stanley, and this was nominated in 2009, and it was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. It did not win any. This fantastic. It's dealing with a priest, the nun sister Aloysius. And the nun that Amy Adams played, they believe that he has sexually assaulted a student, and the student happens to be a black boy, and this is in the 1960s. He's the first black boy ever admitted in that school.
To step outside the church!
I will step outside the church! If that's what needs to be done, though the door should shut behind me!
You have his mother that is played by Viola Davis, and she did a fantastic job. I mean, come on now. You have Viola Davis, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Meryl Streep. Those are just heavy hitters. Even though everything that got nominated didn't win, I still don't feel bad because Meryl Streep, I mean, come on now, she has Academy Award, several. Philip Seymour Hoffman, he won for Capote. Then Viola Davis won for Fences. So I didn't feel too bad about this one, but this is really good. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. If you don't want to read the play, at least to watch a movie, even though this is short. This is literally like 50-some pages. Next, speaking of Viola Davis, Fitz is by August Wilson. This was nominated in 2015, and Viola won for Best Supporting Actress. Unbelievable. Oh my goodness, that scene when Troy tells her that he got a baby on the way.
Don't you think I ever wanted other things?
First of all, I would have beat Troy. I would have been done with him. Of course, you got Denzel Washington. I mean, Denzel Washington can play Batman, so yes. Next is Push by Sapphire, and this was based on the movie Precious. This won in 2010 for Best Supporting Actress of Monique. And oh my goodness, she did a fantastic job. Monique played that mama, okay? We know that Monique, she's known for, she's a comedian. You know, she's a comedic actress. And the fact that she played that woman, oh, girl. I remember seeing this in theaters, okay? And this movie is a lot. And if you thought the movie was a lot, the book is even worse. Because I think I had never seen or read a book where the mother was sexually abusing the daughter. Usually you have, you know, it's typical where you have like a dad or uncle or a male that has sexually accosted, you know, a female child. And this, girl, it's a lot. And the fact that this is kind of loosely based off of the author Sapphire, she worked in the school system and she had some students that dealt with things like that Precious dealt with. So yeah, the movie is difficult and the book is difficult, but I would say they are both worth watching and reading. Next is If Beale Street Can Talk. This was nominated in 2019 for Best Supporting Actress of Regina King, and she won. And this movie, oh my goodness, amazing. The scenery and the score, I loved everything about it. I would say though, Regina King did a fantastic job. She played the mother. But that boy who played Fonny, he should have been nominated.
Here she comes. Big as two houses.
Oh my goodness, he had my heart. Now, one thing I do like about the movie, you did get a happier ending. Well, not a happier ending. You got some closure, okay? There was an end, you know, result. Next is 12 Years a Slave. This was nominated in 2014, and it was nominated and won. So it won Best Picture. Stephen McQueen, which I did not know that. I literally just learned that when I was doing my research for this video. That's a big deal. And then I know it won Best Supporting Actress by Lupita. Now, I have not seen this movie, nor have I read the book. And it's crazy because I like slavery theme movies, and then I like slavery narratives. But I am going to watch it. Next is Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. This was nominated in 1960, and it won for Best Supporting Actress Shelley Winters. This, oh my goodness, that movie was amazing. And the young girl that played Anne, she was really good too. I think with Shelley Winters, for Shelley Winters, she always just reminds me of a soccer mom. I don't know why, and also too, she plays like comedic kind of fun, you know, roles. And the fact that she played Anne Frank, she was the mother of the second family that was in hiding.
Say goodnight.
Good night, mother.
And she did a fantastic job. I gotta admit, she did amazing. Next is The Great Gatsby. This was nominated in 2014, and it won costume design and production design. Now look, it should have won Best Actor for Leonardo DiCaprio because he played Jay Gatsby. He had all the mannerisms, even had the accent down, okay?
Sorry, old sport, I thought you knew.
Y'all know how many times Gatsby said old sport. He did that. Next is Anna Karenina. This was nominated in 2013 for costume design. Now, you guys know I'm currently reading this and loving it. And I have seen bits and pieces of that movie, the 2013 version with, what's the girl that always plays in the period dramas? Keira Knightley. This was nominated and it won for costume design. Next is The Reader, which I thought I had this movie, but I guess I don't. It's with by Bernard Schlenk. This won in 2009 for Best Actress. This is actually the movie cover. This is with Kate Winslet. Fantastic. You guys know I've talked about this book so many times. You have a young boy that got sick on his way home from school, and this woman, Hannah, helped him, and he went back some weeks later, and they started a relationship. This boy is about 15 and this woman is in her 30s. She abruptly leaves and he doesn't know why. Years later, when he is a university student, he is studying to be an attorney, and Hannah is on trial for something.
My name is Hannah Schmitz.
Thank you.
And this also is a backdrop of Holocaust. She did a fantastic job, and what you expect to happen doesn't. Next is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This won for Best Actor in 1963 with Gregory Peck. I'm a fan of Gregory Peck, and I was a fan of this book growing up. I had to read this in 9th grade year. It was required reading, and as an adult, it's like but I do understand the importance of it, and I do understand why people would think that this is a masterpiece. The movie, it's okay, you know, girl, it's a one and done. I saw it. It's not a movie I need to see again, even though I am a fan of Gregory Peck. But yeah, it was all right. Next is The Hours, and this is by Michael Cunningham. And I have the book and I have the movie. Back in college, I was on a Julianne Moore kick my senior year and was watching everything and she was in, so I had to get this. This won in 2003 for Best Actress of, what's her name? Of Nicole Kidman. She played Virginia Woolf, because this is based off of or inspired by Mrs. Dalloway, which is by Virginia Woolf. It's set in 3 time period, so you'd set in Virginia Woolf's time period, which, when did she pass? I forgot when she passed. Then you have 1950s with Julianne Moore, and then you have like present time, which was 2003 with Meryl Streep. Now, I've only seen the movie, haven't read the book, which I do need to read the book because I did enjoy the movie. And Nicole Kidman played Virginia Woolf. If you know anything about Virginia Woolf, she suffered with mental illness.
Do this imprisonment.
Oh, Virginia.
I am attended by doctors.
And she ended up killing herself. She went to the river and put rocks in her pockets and drowned. She is in the process of writing or finishing Mrs. Dalloway. So yeah, really good movie. Next is Out of Africa. Is it Denson? I always butcher her name. But this one in 1983 for Best Picture. And oh my gosh, you guys. Read the book and watched the movie. Fantastic. You have Robert Redford and Meryl Streep. I'm a fan of Robert Redford. He still look good, okay? It's based on a true story about Karen Blitz. She ends up running a coffee plantation in Kenya. She recently married a man that he really don't love her. He just, you know, wants her for her money. And she goes to Africa and she meets a man who is played by Robert Redford. He is a hunter, and they start a relationship. And it is so good, you guys. That score of Out of Africa was fantastic. But yeah, this was great. Even though who should have won in 1986, we go talk about it for Best Picture. But I wasn't mad at it, okay? Next is Breakfast at Tiffanys. Now, you guys know I'm on a Truman Capote kick, and this is based off of the novella. This nominated for Best Actress. This movie is okay. It's a cute little movie. You know, it's a one and done. I think it's a one and done, okay? It's like you've seen it, you don't need to see it anymore. But it did not win. But who did win and who should have won was Sophia Loren of Two Women, which I recently discovered that this was actually a book, which I have to get it because first of all, I did not know that. And I've told you guys, I'm a fan of Sophia Loren. Absolutely adore her. She's my favorite actress of all times. But with Two Women, it's based during the war. This actually was an Italian film, but this version, I have it dubbed, so they're speaking in English. You have a woman and her daughter. They are You know, they're escaping, you know, the war. They end up getting, and it's not a spoiler, but they end up getting raped. And yeah. Now in the book, which they spared a lot in the movie, because in the book, they say that Chasira, who is played by Sophia Loren, she gets brutally beat. I don't know if she dies, and I know the daughter, Rosetta, she gets raped. But Rosetta ends up going into a world of prostitution. And yeah, which I need to read that book, but I did not know it was based on a book. But you guys, this is fantastic. I would recommend you guys watch that. It's a particular scene after they have been, you know, assaulted. Chasira, she turns to the camera, and the way her face, it breaks your heart. I remember when I first watched that scene, I cried like a baby, because you just felt it. Oh my goodness, you felt it. But this is a really good movie. Next is Little Women. Now this is based on Louise May Alcott. Now this was nominated for the 2019 movie. It was Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Screenplay, and it didn't win anything. Now personally, I don't like the 2019 version. I like the 1994 version, which was also nominated for Best Screenplay and Best Actress with, what's my girl? Winona Ryder. It should have won. If you guys ever, you know, there's what, 3 versions of Little Women. This is the best version. No shade to the one with Katharine Hepburn and Liz Taylor. This one is the best one. No one can play Josephine March like Winona Ryder, and nobody can play Marmee like Susan Sarandon. Hands down, okay? Those are all the movies that were nominated and won. Lastly, we're going to go to books and movies that should have won. So, first is Imitation of Life. This was in 1960. Now, Juanita Moore, she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and she lost to Shelley Winters. Shelley Winters won for, you know, Anne Frank. We talked about that earlier. Like Shelley Winters, like Anne Frank, but
Sarah Jane. Oh, my baby. My beautiful, beautiful baby.
She should have won for playing Annie. Okay. Like, oh, girl. The funeral scene and everything. This movie's fantastic. Next. We don't even have to say anything. Just look at this. This was nominated for Best Picture, Screenplay, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress. Didn't win. Now won. Now for Best Picture, who won for Best Picture that year? Out of Africa. Now, like I said, you know, this is good. This should have won. Very bitter about that. Wasn't even born. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. This was nominated in 1963 with Betty Davis and Joan Crawford. Now, this backstory. So, y'all know these are legends, right? And during the time, these actresses, they were older. They were in their 60s. And so Joan Crawford said, look, no, we're not getting any roles that are worthwhile. They're, you know, they want young people. They want a Marilyn Monroe type. And she said, I know a book that, you know, needs to be turned into a movie, and I want Betty Davis to play opposite of me. So Betty agreed. Now, when this film was made, they said it was a lot of drama, you know, of course, 2 divas, 2 Academy Award winning actresses. But when this movie came out, did fantastic. Who was nominated was Betty Davis. Who was not nominated was Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford won another Oscar. She won for Mildred Pierce back in the 40s. Betty Davis has 2 Academy Awards. But, like I said, she got nominated. She did not. So, this girl, Joan Crawford, proceeded to go to all of the studios and everyone that voted for the actors and actresses for Oscars. She, you know, told them, look, don't vote for her and all that. So we get to Oscar night. She presents for Best Actress, and of course, she does not win. Anne Bancroft wins. and she ends up accepting an award on her behalf.
Accepting for Anne Bancroft, Miss Joan Crawford.
How shady was that? Wasn't that shady? Next is Boys in the Hood. This was nominated for Best Director and Best Original Screenplay in 1991. Didn't win, obviously. And John Singleton, he's the youngest, and he's the first black person to be nominated for Best Director. And we all know Boys in the Hood. Look, I got my shirt. Boys in the Hood, because it should have won. I mean, this is forever will be a classic. If you guys have not seen Boys in the Hood, I would recommend you guys see it because it's so good. Next is one of my favorite movies. It is Claudine with James Earl Jones and Diahann Carroll. This was nominated in 1974 for Best Actress, and of course she didn't win, and she should have won. You have a woman named Claudine that is a domestic. She has 6 kids. She's on welfare. She meets Rupert B. Marshall, who is played by James Earl Jones. There is a romance, and it is so good. And the music is done by Gladys Knight and the Pips, and it is written and produced by Curtis Mayfield, and it is fantastic. The music alone, okay? And then you have Diahann Carroll. Fantastic. Next, this is another one where you just have to look at it. This was nominated in 1994 for Best Actress of Angela Bassett, and of course she did not win. And you have Holly Hunter, who won for The Piano. Have never seen it, and look, I don't even need to see it because I know she didn't deserve to win. Angela Bassett deserved to win. And we're not even going to talk about last year or year before last that she didn't win again. She is getting an honorary Oscar, but yeah. Let's move on. Next, Malcolm X, 1993 for Best Actor. Denzel Washington. Who won for this was Robert Downing Jr. for Chaplin. He played Charlie Chaplin, which, well, he should have won for Malcolm X. But I'm not opposed to watching that movie because I don't know a lot about Charlie Chaplin. I do know he had a little hard life, so yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to watching that. But Denzel should have won. Next is Filamina. This was nominated in 2014, and this is based on a book. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Score. And this is based off of this book. It's The Lost Child of Philomena Lee. You have a young woman that had a baby out of wedlock at 18. The time in 1950s where you had people that would buy off children, and she did not know that her child was being bought and adopted. Years later, she tells her daughter, and her daughter ends up contacting a journalist, and he does a story on Philomena Lee, how you have these children, like I said, that were sold. You had teenagers that when they went into the care of the nuns, they signed a waiver basically saying, I can't look for my children, if I want to, and all that. I sign my rights and things like that. Well, she goes on a search to find, in help of the journalist, she goes on a search to find her son.
I signed it because I believed I committed a terrible sin and had to be punished.
And it was so good. I mean, Dame Judi Dench is Judi Dench. But yeah, this is a really good movie. It's sad, but it's really good. And then lastly is Peyton Place. I'm actually doing a buddy read of this book, and girl, so good. It was nominated in 1957 for 9 Academy Awards, and it didn't win nothing. And I think the reason why, first of all, this book's based in New England, Connecticut. It talks about incest, it talks about sex, it talks about verbal and domestic abuse. So it's a lot in the 1950s, a lot, okay? And in the book, girl, you got curse words and everything, and that's a lot. I think it was ahead of its time. They couldn't deal with that in 1950s. Also, Lana Turner, during this time, there was a scandal. Her daughter stabbed and killed her lover, and it ended up, well, actually, it ended up boosting the movie box office. It was like well over millions, and it was because of the scandal. People wanted to just see, you know, Lana Turner. But because of that, it was like a hindrance and also not a hindrance. And then, like I said, because of the subject matter, it was a lot. But
Like some young animal with one thing on his mind.
Oh, Mother, don't make it sound like that. Everything has to be learned, even kissing.
And sex? Is that what you're going to practice at your next party?
But I mean, nominated for 9 Academy Awards and didn't win any. I do think with Lana Turner, you know, because of the scrutiny of what happened with her daughter, she ended up getting acquitted because it was like self-defense. But because of that, her career never just boosted anymore. And there was a film that she did after some in the 60s called Madam X. She should have gotten nominated for that, and it didn't get nominated for anything, but she did a fantastic job. But you know, because of what happened of her personal life, it really did hinder her career after. This movie is really good. It's worth watching. Like I said, I'm in the process of reading the book, and so far I really like it. Yeah guys, that is it when it comes to this video. Like I said, I'm rooting for everybody that's black, okay, in the words of Issa Rae. So yeah guys, that's all I have for you, and I'll be back with more black books.